Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Another massive night game. Number 16, Texas A&M at number 8, Notre Dame, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, both on NBC and Peacock. The storyline to know is very simple. Notre Dame's back is against the wall right now because they started the season off with a 27-24 loss to what was at the time number 10 Miami in week 1. They had a bye week this past week. And so right now Notre Dame is 0-1 to start the season. The Fighting Irish play their second straight top 20 team this weekend in Texas A&M. But after this weekend, Notre Dame does not have another currently ranked team on the rest of their schedule. It's still possible, if not probable, that a 10-2 Notre Dame team will get into the college football playoff. Although I will say the Fighting Irish will be playing with fire at that point because they won't have, as of right now, they won't have any marquee wins on that schedule. And we've heard the playoff committee talk about how they're looking at that even more, having big-time wins. As of right now, Notre Dame does not play another ranked team the rest of the season. They will not play, obviously, a conference title game either. So, yes, I still think it's likely that a 10-2 Notre Dame team will get into the playoff, but it's not guaranteed that a 10-2 Notre Dame team will get into the playoff.
The best way to put it is I think it would be out of their hands.
Yeah.
Now, you have to go 10-2. If you lose one more game beyond that, then it's over. Notre Dame at 9-3 on this schedule and already losing to Miami and possibly A&M. Not a chance a 9-3 Notre Dame team would have. 10-2. Maybe depending on how other things shake out. The Boise State loss to USF kind of hurt them because that could have been a ranked game. USC is another task. They've got some ACC opponents. But
I think they play Arkansas too, right? So hopefully they're probably hoping Arkansas could beat Ole Miss this weekend.
That's a possibility too. But even then, you mess around with Taylor Green, he can go in there and win a big game, right? I think that's at Arkansas, I believe
so,
yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's not if they go out there and beat Ole Miss, that doesn't look as easy because you still have to win the ball game. So, we could talk about, you get to beat ranked teams. You still have to beat them. You have to beat them on the field. So, no, I think big stakes for both of these teams. Notre Dame, like you mentioned, I'm not sure at 10-2 they'll make the playoff. I can't say not 10-2 with these two losses and not another huge win. A&M, I mean, you look at them, and I picked them to make the playoff. This is a game where they could announce themselves as serious at-large contenders, especially. They're going to have, obviously, the tough SEC schedule. There's a boatload of big games, but if you beat Notre Dame early in the year, no matter what their record is at the end of it at Notre Dame, that's a huge win. That's a game-changing win if A&M were to go up there to South Bend.
Again, if they do win 10 in a row after losing to Texas A&M, I still think it's likely they get it. And I think the committee will say, Notre Dame team has routed off 10 straight wins and all that, but with their new criteria they came out with saying, hey, we're going to look at these big-time games and whether or not you win or lose them. If Notre Dame is 0-2 in those big-time games and that's it for the season, it's dicey. I'll say it's dicey. I still think they get in at 10-2, but obviously winning this game against Texas A&M would be massive for Notre Dame's rest of the season. All right, Dalton, you have the Notre Dame offense against the Texas A&M defense, and Notre Dame's offensive line, I think, really lost in that ball game against Miami. What should we know about that matchup against Texas A&M now?
Man, I mean, they have to be better up front. No, this is more so than about A&M and Cassius Howell and those guys that they're bringing to the table, and they're really good. Mike Elko's always got a good run defense. That's going to be a big factor in this game, and obviously Howell rushing the pass. You see, he got 3 sacks on 3 plays in a row last week.
Crazy.
Just against, was it UTSA? I mean, just that's silly. But no, I think that the spotlight is on Notre Dame in the trenches. I mean, last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, against Miami, 52.6 PFF grade for their offensive line as a unit, 60 run blocking grade, not good enough when you're trying to open holes for these great. But look at that last number. I mean, they didn't. I know it's Ruben Bain and it's Akeem Mesidor, but that I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure Notre Dame had, if not the lowest pass blocking grade we've given them in PFF history, is one of the 2 or 3 worst. I mean, just they have to be better up front. I mean, the straight up they have to. Notre Dame. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of scheme. I don't think there's a whole lot of anything else to it. Their front 5 has to put their big boy pants on and go out there and play better in the trenches, like Notre Dame has been known to do for so many years. And I think the only schematic thing I have on it is in this game and generally in Mike Denbrock's offense. In this game last year especially, spreading things out and lightening the box and giving those guys less helmets to have to block was big for them. They were a lot more efficient running through the lighter boxes and spread out formation. So I think it's something, there's different ways to help your offensive line. Do you want extra blockers? Do you want lead blockers? Or do you want less? And I think space is going to be big. I think Mike Denbrock, it sounds funny because you're kind of putting those 5 guys on an island, but 5-on-5 is easier to block than 7-on-7 or 8-on-8 sometimes. I think they're going to spread it out. I think Denbrock's going to try to run the ball between the tackles. If that doesn't happen, and then it just comes down to C.J. Carr again, and I actually think C.J. Carr played well against Miami, considering those numbers you just saw there. But they really need to run the football. They need to, and I'm looking at them especially. What do I say all the time? Good offensive lines block the first level. Great offensive lines, like we've been told Notre Dame will block the second level. There's a couple really good players on that second level, and Torian York and Scooby Williams, who are really good run defenders. Big factor in this game. Texas A&M missed a lot of tackles last year. They need the tackling to be better. There's a lot of different factors, but at the end of the day, Notre Dame's offensive line plays like that again, like they played against Miami, they're going to lose.
By the way, it is the lowest pass blocking grade we've ever seen from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The only one else they've had 2 ever that have been below 45, and the only other one was the week 1 game against Michigan in 2018 was 29.6.
And I know, and big factor too, it changes things from Mike Elko and his philosophy in this game. C.J. Carr, look, he made some nice plays on the move, and there was a couple of quarterback draws they mixed in there. He's not Riley Leonard athletically.
Yeah.
And Riley Leonard in this game, he had over 60 yards rushing in this game last year and was a big factor in the run game. You're not going to get that. So you need to make it up even more so up front, and then with Jeremiah Love, and then with Jadarian Price. So there's a big premium right now on Notre Dame's offensive line needing to play significantly better than that.
Absolutely. All right. It's all about the trenches on the other side, too. A&M's offensive line against Notre Dame's defensive line right now. Because Dalton's mentioned before, the story of that loss to Miami was Notre Dame's offensive line struggling. However, the Fighting Irish's defensive line also really struggled against Miami's offensive line, too. Notre Dame only had an 18.8% pressure rate against the Hurricanes. That was their lowest pressure rate in a game in 3 years. Now, to be fair to the Fighting Irish, the Hurricanes entered the year with one of my top 10 offensive lines in America. But, unfortunately for Notre Dame, in that same ranking, I had Texas A&M as the number 3 offensive line in America heading into this year. They brought back all 6 players who played 300-plus snaps last year on the offensive line. They have some superstars on that offensive line, too, namely their guard, Armaj Reed-Adams, who I think right now is the best guard that we have in college football. And the Aggies have looked the part so far with the 9th best pass blocking grade in the country at 85.6. Now, Dalton, a pretty interesting development so far through 2 weeks for A&M. Their offense, which we thought would have one of the best run games in the country with that offensive line, with Marcel Reed and all the deep, stable running backs they have, they've only run the ball on 38% of their plays, which is the 7th lowest rate in the Power 4 through 2 weeks. That may change going forward in this one against Notre Dame's defensive line, which is better in run defense than it was in pass rush against Miami. But I'm looking at, too, Texas A&M, are they going to rely on Marcel Reed as a passer as much as they have in the first 2 games, or will we see the running game for A&M that we thought would be so good entering the year play a lot more?
Well, you wonder if they're just used in a couple of games against UTSA and against Utah State to just get Marcel Reed reps, right? Because that's going to be a big X factor. I think it almost feels like we know with this offensive line, and we know with their backs, and we know with Marcel Reed as the quarterback, we know Texas A&M can run the football, right? Yeah. I mean, we saw it all year last year. That was the best part of their offense. But adding balance to it is actually what could make them a playoff team. And if Marcel Reed is at least, for the season, let's say an 80-grade passer for the season with the way they can run the ball, then that makes a lot of sense that they want to balance it out and get him reps. Because look, even in a game like this, Notre Dame's a great defense. It'll be real hard to beat them one-dimensionally. That's what happened last year. I mean, the biggest reason A&M only scored 13 points in this game last year is because Connor Wegman just had nothing against this secondary. Absolutely nothing. Running the ball, they were okay. Le'Veon Moss looked good, right? Amari Daniels, right? I mean, they can run the ball. I think physically they can play with Notre Dame. The balance was the problem last year. They were incapable. Both teams were kind of incapable of throwing the football in this game, but Leonard at least had an answer with his legs for Notre Dame. Connor Wegman just had nothing. They just, at a certain point, Texas A&M was incapable of throwing the football. They have to be capable of it. I like what they're putting in for Reed. I like what Mario Craver's got going on the outside. Obviously, Kevin Concepcion. They've got weapons to work with, too. I think A&M trying to find balance in some of these more warm-up kind of games might actually work to their advantage moving forward.
So with Notre Dame's back against the wall, only in week 3 now, going against Texas A&M, will they pull it off against a top 20 opponent, or will A&M send Notre Dame to an 0-2 start to the season?
You think this is the hardest game to pick this week? This might be.
It's up there. It's certainly up there.
This is a nightmare to try. This is one of those games that I feel like no matter what I pick, I'll be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
That's how I felt about Ole Miss Arkansas, too. I just have no idea.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm kind of with you. This is a tough one, but it would be hard to believe that Notre Dame, as much talent as they have, would be 0-2. But the weird part of this for me, I always actually thought they were more likely to lose this game than the Miami game. And now they've lost the Miami game, and I'm sitting here going, wait, is this the reality we're living in now with Notre Dame 0-2 in that 10-2 scenario? Is that what we're going to do? And you know what? With the amount of improvement, and they had a bye week, and maybe they had some really good practices, but the amount of improvement they need in the trenches, I don't know if that can be made up in a week and a half worth of practice. I'm going to take Texas A&M to get their revenge.
Wow. I'm
going to take them. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, went down to College Station last year, got a big week 1 win, sent A&M's offense into a little bit of a tailspin for a bit, and then Marcel Reed came in. They righted the ship. I'm going to take A&M 23-20. I think Mike Elko is going to load up the run. He's going to make C.J. Carr beat him. I think this balance in A&M's offense is good. And keep in mind, like I just mentioned, this was not Marcel Reed last year. This was Connor Wegman, and he really struggled in this game. This is a different offense with Marcel Reed. This is a different set of receivers that they got in the portal. They can still run the football. Le'Veon Moss is healthy. I'm going with it. I'm going to take A&M to get their revenge on the road, 23-20.
I'm taking Notre Dame 24-23. It should be a phenomenal ball game. I do think Notre Dame will start the year off 1-1. They have not been 0-2 since 2022 when they lost to Ohio State in week 1 and then Marshall in week 2, and they finished 9-4 that year. I don't think it'll happen this year. I got Notre Dame winning this game 24-23, and they were 1-1 to start last year too, Dalton, and they rattled off 10 straight wins at the end of the year to finish 11-1 in the season. Yep. I think another part we didn't really mention that much is A&M in that week 1 game against UTSA. They let Robert Henry run for 177 yards. In that game.
I watched that back, and that was one where I don't think it's at all that they're a bad run defending team.
I don't think so either.
They came out that when I watched how the way they were fitting the run, I think they missed 18 tackles on the ground in that game. It was something. The tackling was that looked like a defense that was in week 1 and was feeling rusty. Now, I'm not saying this is Jeremiah Love. You better not be rusty against Jeremiah Love.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm picking Notre Dame too. I think Jeremiah Love will have a big game. A&M is 103rd in tackling grade, outside the top 50 in run defense grade. I think it'll be better as the season goes on. But that game right there showed me, okay, this is an avenue for Notre Dame to. In week 1, they didn't rely on Jeremiah Love at all. It was C.J. Carr that really carried that offense. In week 3, I think Jeremiah Love will be the guy that kind of carries this offense to a win.
It's a big point. I think the fits and the tackling and that was the same idea. UTSA spread them out because they're a very spread out RPO based offense. they created that space through formation. I think Denbrock needs to do this. I think if Notre Dame comes out early and they put 2 and 3 tight ends on the field and try to get heavy, I think it's the wrong way to go about it. I'm spreading them out with formation with those receivers and then working into light boxes. That's exactly how UTSA had that success. And then you make one guy miss. One guy on the secondary arc, you make him miss a tackle, and then you have space to work with between the tackles.
So Mike Denbrock, please give Jeremiah Love more than 11 carries in this game. That's all I'm asking for. Give the best running back in America more than 11 carries in another huge bowl game after only 11 carries in week 1 against Miami. But I have Notre Dame winning. Dalton's got Texas A&M winning, which should be a massive, massive game on Saturday night.